So President Macron gave a speech in Parliament and he said some disparaging things about the African continent. And but you know what? Take a listen to it. It's in French, but the subtitle is in English. Read it while he's speaking, and then we're gonna take a discussion of what he said. Take a listen. Boom.
Nous avions une relation sécuritaire. Elle était de deux natures, en vérité. Il y a une partie, c'était notre engagement contre le terrorisme depuis 2013. On avait raison. Je crois qu'on a oublié de nous dire merci. C'est pas grave, ça viendra avec le temps. L'ingratitude, je suis bien placé pour le savoir, c'est une maladie non transmissible à l'homme. Mais je le dis pour tous les gouvernants africains qui n'ont pas eu le courage, vis-à-vis de leurs opinions publiques, de le porter, aucun d'entre eux ne serait aujourd'hui avec un pays souverain si l'armée française ne s'était pas déployée dans cette région. Et j'ai une pensée émue pour nos soldats qui, parfois, ont donné leur vie et pendant des années se sont battus. Nous avons bien fait. On est parti parce qu'il y a eu des coups d'État. Parce qu'on était là à la demande d'États souverains qui avaient demandé à la France de venir. À partir du moment où il y a eu des coups d'État, où les gens ont dit « notre priorité, c'est plus la lutte contre le terrorisme, c'est ceci ou cela qu'importe », la France n'y avait plus sa place, parce que nous ne sommes pas les supplétifs de putschistes. Donc on est parti.
So there you have it, President Macron. It seems like he have a lack of history, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't because he's saying without France, the African countries wouldn't have sovereignty, and because and they were aided in the jihadist attacks, and they were even since 2013 helping, and now they don't say thanks on it, and they are not at the beck and call of coup d'etat leaders, which is false on every single count. Let's take count one where he said that without French, the African continent, for well, at least 14 Sahel nations, East Africa, would not have sovereignty, independence. But let's dissect it. In 1954, when Guinea wanted independence from France, and all the other African nations wanted independence from France. Not all, but most of the ones in the Sahel nation, like the Senegal, Cameroon, Mali, Burkina Faso, those countries, France destroyed every single infrastructure in Guinea, send them back to the Stone Ages. I'm saying destroy. They literally demolish buildings, clog up um, sewer systems, break everything. They leave the country desolate as a warning to the other 13 to 14 African countries who wanted independence from France. And when they saw that, what do you think they do? They fall in line and they were semi-independent in which they're still beholden to France in some aspects, like currency wise, and every single thing that comes out of the ground of these countries, mineral wise, resources, France has the first crack at it. And if France doesn't want it, then they can sell it. They can sell it to a second party. Not only that, they have to sign an agreement stating that, and they have to sign another agreement that they cannot get any military equipment from no other country but France. So he signed these deals for over 60, 70 years. And President Macron is acting as if he's forgetting all of what they did to these African countries when they wanted the independence. They make sure they're beholden to France. Now, let's talk about the terrorists, this jihadist attack, which is a false narrative because they went in 2013, there was less attack. And when they leave, get kicked out, let me be specific. In 2013, 2014, and those years, they had like 300 attacks here and there. When the French leave, they have over 7,000 attacks. So it increased drastically. It did not decrease with their presence. So now the countries like Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger want to have literally have their real independence and sovereignty, and they get kicked out of the country. Or now they're saying they're not at the beck and call of coup leaders. Mali, Chad, um, Guinea, and Senegal, and Ivory Coast and Benin they also follow suit of putting the army out of African nations. But it's full time because he's acting as if they asked him to come there. No, there was force up. There was the French forced their army on these countries to because what to protect the resources they were getting. Okay, perfect example. Niger, they were getting uranium from Niger. France was paying, I'm talking about 2 years ago, 3 years ago. This is not like a long history distance. This is just 3 years ago. France was paying 80 cents euro per kilo for uranium, while the price for uranium was about 200 euro per kilo. So you can imagine that he was reaping and scraping and stealing uranium from these countries, paying them 80 cents per kilo while the value is 200. So it's so much money that over $500 million they were getting annually from just one resources from one country. So imagine if you combine all these other countries with resources, how much money France was garnering from African nations annually. So this wasn't a handout or a free for all. He was actually using that money to push over 25% of the French economy. So African nations are a big bank, not even bank. They are a big cash cow to the French economy. So this acting as if they are desolate, they need the French. And no, it's the other way around. They actually need African countries for the resources. And hence the reason why he's lashing out, because these things are there. I'm not making these things up. It's documented how they destroyed Guinea in 1958 because of the wanting sovereignty, and they make sure they punish them justly to make sure the other countries don't follow suit. But now with the younger leaders, these cool leaders, like I'm done saying cool leaders, President Abraham Traore, Tinini, and Miss Masisi, Messi, I pronounce his name correctly, of Niger and Mali. These leaders broke the mold when it comes down to um, the French dominance in the continent, and this is now having a dominant effect, having other countries follow suit. Hence the reason why he's so angry at the Africans, saying, "Oh, they do this." I'm telling you, this is, if you don't know your history, you will listen to these leaders and believe every single word. But fortunately enough, we have channels like this that can show you are guiding the right way to go, and you can do the research on what they did to Guinea and all these other African countries through for the past 60 to 70 years. And also, don't forget, in the Berlin Accord in 1894, I think it was, when they split up Africa between the major countries, the big powerhouse at the time, I mean, the Americans, the French, the German, the English. What am I missing out? I'm missing out one. So yeah, but anyway, you can just do your research on it and just to show you that this is what they do. They propagate false narrative to hide our history as if we're the beggars when they are actually the ones who are doing all the stealing behind our backs and making it look as if we're the ones that begging. Well, we are the rich ones and they are the not so rich. Not rich. Their economies depend on African nations because everything we need comes from the African continent in matter of resources, materials to make almost everything. Yeah, a few countries have bits on here and there, but African continent is rich in materials, minerals for every single thing we consume on this planet. So this narrative that he's they're not he's not at the beck and call of African nations is a myth, is a misinterpretation of facts, because he do actually need these countries, but you have to pay fair price for our resources. No longer now you can just come and pay them 80 cents while you that's mean, imagine that 200 euro and he's paying 80 cents. You see the big disparity there? That's 199 euro and 20 cents. He's making profit by reselling this uranium alone, not to mention gold and other resources, aluminum ore, all this other thing. And know your history. Key, my if I don't if you don't know if you learn at least one thing tonight, know your history so you cannot fooled or doomed to repeat what happened to us in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s and are coming all the way out, because they take out all of our great leaders in Africa and put in their own puppet leaders to make sure their interests are aligned with them at all times. But now, times change. We have younger generation that have more knowledge now. We are more we are no longer laid back like the Mandela syndrome where, oh, we want to do kumbaya rumination. No, Those days are done. Now it's time to fight back. Financially fight, not literal war, but I'm talking about a financial fight and no more the brain drain of our countries. Keep our educated ones to help our countries to build and go. Not to have them ship off to other to these countries and build their countries while ours is in a slow, is moving at a much slower pace. Put it that way. Anyway, so let me know what you think about this in the comment section. As always, I don't know, like, comment, share, subscribe, tell a friend, tell a friend. Boom.